Hello and welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're going over training scar number 9, retaining your magazines. Controversial subject, and there's a lot of videos pro and con on it out there, and here is my take. Retaining your magazine is dictated by METT-TC. What is METT-TC? That's an acronym standing for Mission, Enemy, Time, Terrain, Troops Available, and Communications. In other words, it's an overly militaristic acronym that basically means it depends on. And that's true, it depends on what you're doing. Recently in Finnish Brutality 2023, they had a requirement to retain all your magazines, matter of fact, all your gear on every stage. They had a practical reason for doing that. Reset times. If you're not out scurrying around picking up all the magazines you threw left, right, and center, retaining it you're gaining time by not having to go out and pick them up. Retaining them solves that problem. It solved a very neat problem they needed to keep the match flowing and on time and on schedule. And that's a rule, and it's a rule for the match. It's also considered a rule of engagement, because that segues me into my second part here about saying it depends. In a firefight, and you got rounds coming at you, that is always an emergency situation, and you can just say, well, in emergency, I'm going to drop my mag. Yep, absolutely. In emergency, you probably should drop your mag. Also, remember, if you're in a military context, more than likely, if you get in a firefight, you brought all your friends with you. And usually all the friends you've brought to your gunfight, they have guns too. And you all don't run out of ammo at the same time, so you can cover each other. And then you can very easily retain that mag. You may have a dump pouch, you may do the old reliable method of shoving it down your shirt front. Whatever you do, you can retain that mag, and here's why. Loaded magazines for your pistol are not going to fall out of the sky for you, believe it or not. When you get resupplied by them, nobody's going to be handing you loaded, ready-to-go magazines. Yes, I'm sure there's an exception out there where it's happened. Trust me, that's the exception, not the rule. So this is not going to fall out of the sky for you. It's just going to be, whoop! You know, you've got the ones you've got, because you're not getting that. What you're getting is this. You're going to get a box of ammo for your pistol with individual rounds in it that you have to stuff in the magazine for your pistol. And if you've thrown your magazines away and you don't have any, you know, you're going to be without magazines and no way to reload your pistol. And you're going to go, but wait a second, I'll just go back to supply and draw more. Yeah, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Why do I say it? I'm concerned for a pistol, real life. My unit, when we got deployed to what was then Desert Shield, one of the first units to go, as we were leaving, we turned in our 1911s, were issued M9s, and when we offloaded there in Saudi Arabia, found out we had no magazines. And a long period of time went by before we got some. So yeah, that can happen. And then the supply we had was low, pretty much right up until Desert Shield became Desert Storm. So don't be thinking there's an endless supply of magazines out there for your pistols. Now, let's talk rifles. Rifles are just like pistols. Your ammunition does not fall out of the sky in these things. Nope, you've got to retain them if you have ammunition resupply. The only time I've ever encountered my ammunition resupply coming in magazines is at One Shepherd. And the reason it happens there is there's a very real logistical reason to pass out ammunition in magazines. It's the only place I've ever seen it. I've never heard of it happening on active duty or any other situation. No, when you get ammunition supply on active duty, it comes in the form of this, an M2A1 ammunition can. This one tells me that this one contains M855A1 ammunition, 840 rounds of it. This is how your ammunition supply will come. When you open the can, you'll find these things. These are called bandoliers. Each one will retain 120 rounds of ammunition. You will note that the ammunition will be on what's called stripper clips. And each bandolier will have 12 stripper clips for 120 rounds and one stripper clip guide designed to help you put the rounds into your magazine quickly, provided you have the magazine, because it doesn't come with magazines. It comes just the ammunition. It comes on this convenient bandolier for carrying. Just throw it on, take it with you, and if you have magazines, you can even pull this white thread right here in the bandolier, and once you pull out, the pockets become big enough to retain magazines for you to put loaded magazines into. But they don't give you the magazines, and if you don't have them, well, you're out of luck. The other reason for retaining magazines is supply. We'll probably have a better supply of rifle magazines than they do pistol magazines. But supply might be a long way back. And if you're getting resupplied at the front by having ammo cans brought up, and that happens when you're in a fighting position or you're on an extended patrol, that resupply comes like that. And if you haven't retained your magazines, c'est la vie, you're out of luck. You've got no way to refill your rifle, or you might have to beg them off of buddies. And he's not going to be thrilled giving up some of his because you didn't retain yours. Now, this is not to say don't discard your magazines when the situation dictates. As we said, METT-TC. If the situation dictates it and you got to do it, a CQB environment's a great example of that. If you're in a hit or get situation with an elite special unit or a SWAT team, for instance, yeah, you can go in, you can abandon your magazines, and they'll be all policed up later, and you can definitely get new ones when you get back to your base. However, if you're a green line infantry unit and you're taking a building in Astrakistan and the crappy city of don't want to be here, and you've got to occupy that building and stay there, okay, clear it out, fight your way out. That's in your face, bad breath distance fighting. You can police your magazines up after the fact, but you still got to retain them at some point in some way. And there are certain places when you lose your magazines, you're not going to get them back. You lose them in water, you're not getting them back. That water will be nasty, muddy, and you'll never find it. You lose them in tall grass, if you're a very lucky person, you might get them back. If they fall out of a pouch or you dump them in the middle of a night fight, your chances of finding them again are pretty stinking low. So retaining your magazines, it is an important skill. It's not one to be discarded automatically, and you shouldn't be training under the situation where I just throw my magazines away and I get new ones later, because there might not be ones to get later. We hope you found this Training Scar video helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for future Training Scar videos.